YouTube, I have bought myself a 2001 Suzuki SV650S. This is the carbureted version. I may have overpaid a little bit for it, but I have always loved the curvy. I wanted a curvy, even though fuel injection makes your life so much easier. I wanted a curvy because I love the look of this bike. Objectively, you could tell me that the fuel injected versions look a lot better, but I just love the alien look of this bike. Sometimes I hear it's you know, more feminine looking type of thing, or whatever you want to call it. I don't think so. I think this thing is beautiful. I love the goofy styling. I like eccentric bikes, and this is what I wanted. And the reason I bought this one was because I wanted to start doing track days, and I wasn't comfortable with the 1991 FZR 600 I had that I was planning on doing it with. So instead I took to Craigslist and I found this one. Bought it from a guy that had been tracking it around Blackhawk Farms in Road America and a couple other tracks around the Midwest, and he was kind of done with it. I don't think he wanted to be done with it, but he'd started a family, and I think the pressure was on for him to be done with it for that reason. And I want to say that it was the nicest, most awesome experience I've ever had on buying on Craigslist. I think I spent 2 hours with the guy going over everything. So it's a pretty heavily modified, it does look stock, but it's a pretty heavily modified SV650. Starting with the front suspension, what we got in the forks is that it's actually set up better for me than it was for him. So it's got cartridge emulators inside of it. It's got the clickers here. It's got 0.90 springs, which is actually good for my weight. The only thing that I have done to this bike so far, I've had it since July, so I've had it for about a month and a half, 2 months. I've changed the tires, I've replaced the brake fluid, and I've changed the oil, put in Rotella synthetic 5W40. So it's got, yeah, the cartridge emulators up front. The big thing about this bike, the reason I wanted it, it's because it's got most of the stuff done to it that I wanted done already. And I could have bought a track specific bike, but I wanted the ability to be able to run it on the road for a year or two. The big thing that I'm struggling with right now is that I'm 32. I've been riding, I've had my motorcycle license since I was 16, and I am getting more and more uncomfortable with riding as I get older. I'm becoming more and more afraid to lean as I get older. As you look at the chicken strips, most people measure them in millimeters. You can measure mine in inches. So track day is what I've heard can cure all the ails. And so that's what I'm planning on doing, getting this thing ready. So the big thing on this bike is the rear shock. It's a Penske 8983, I believe, 8389. I think it's an 8983. It's a 2-clicker on there. So that was actually more expensive than the FZR that I sold in order to buy this bike. Stainless steel lines up front, not a stainless steel line in the back. Aftermarket windscreen. Like I said, he put the clicker types on the top. Probably needs a new battery. I'm gonna fight with that one. During the winter, I'm going to go through this whole thing. It's got about 26,000 miles on it now. It had a valve check done professionally at 16,000 miles. They didn't replace anything. It was within spec. This winter, I'll start ripping the thing apart, but I just want to get my ass on a track. I'm kind of freaked out. The reason I started shooting this video, and I'll get to it in a second, is because I put on all of my leather gear. I bought, I don't know, some stupid amount of, not even stupid because I did it cheap, but I bought all the gear that you have to go do a track day, and my plan is to do a track day at Blackhawk Farms Sunday Labor Day weekend. So that's the plan. I put Metzler M7RR tires on front and rear. I went back and forth about whether or not I should put the Dunlop Q3 pluses on, which is actually what I took off of it. And if it was just going to be a track bike, and if the only reason I was getting on the track was to go fast, I probably would have gone with those Dunlops. I didn't, because this is more about me gaining confidence, and an M7RR Metzler, and from what I want, this is supposed to be one of the better wet tires. It's all about me getting confidence, and if I'm confident on this tire on a track, I just want to know where I can bring a motorcycle. I know I can go a hell of a lot further. It's taking a lot of enjoyment out of me being able to ride because I'm pussing out, because all of a sudden I just think about school buses full of children, rocks on the road, and all that kind of stuff. I want to know, and I want to build up the skill set. So I'm coming into this very humble, and going to try to start from the ground up again. The only other thing I did on this was a oil change. So yeah, a big difference from stock though. Going to these foot pegs, this is a totally new thing to me. I think they're Woodcraft foot pegs. So the rear sets are moved backwards. It's a much more aggressive stance. It's actually quite aggressive. It's crazy how much taller and just how much more aggressive this thing is. I've had to change the pegs quite a bit to fit me. He's got a full micron exhaust. It sounds awesome. Frame sliders through there. I don't know, it's just a really cool bike. I always wanted one of these. This was always supposed to be my second bike, and I just ended up not getting it instead. I think because I found that FZR so cheap and ran that instead, and then I just kind of got wayward into all the other stuff. But I've been riding this a fair amount just to try to get more comfort with it, and I don't know, I'm freaked out about this whole track day thing. I don't know, it's scary to me. There's so many things you have to know. I bought so many things for this bike. Luckily, what I'm reading, MotoVid doesn't require a whole ton for the novice class. Like, I actually put this, and I know, and from reading, I know that the K&N oil filters, a lot of tracks actually don't allow them. And the big thing is because people tighten them with this nut up front. The reason I bought it is because you can safety wire it through there. Here's the thing, with the novice class, I don't need to safety wire this, even though I bought the whole safety wire kit, been practicing a little bit. That's really hard. But I don't know. I'm kind of freaked out about the whole thing, especially doing it myself. One of the MotoVid, they say you have to either remove or safety tie up the kickstand. So I don't know how I'm going to do that when I get there. I'm going to be pretty much doing this whole thing by myself, because I don't think I can get anybody to go with me. But if 2020's taught me one thing, it's that we're all probably going to die soon, and if I sit on my ass and just don't do this, I'm going to die with a lot of regrets. So hopefully Blackhawk Farms, and then there is a September 14th date at Road America, which is the big one I'd really like to do, but I was going to use Blackhawk Farms to figure out if I've got the actual nerve to be able to do it. So anyway, the SV650, it's crazy how much more fun this bike is than the V-Strom, especially with this Micron exhaust. Micron is out of business now, but this thing sounds awesome. I'll start it at the end of the video. But it's just funny that essentially this engine is the exact same one as that. My biggest complaint about the V-Strom is that it's essentially it's an anemic engine, or not an anemic engine. The engine's perfectly capable. It's just there's nothing inspiring about the V-Strom. This, on the other hand, it's just, oh god, every time you let off of it and decelerate or something like that, it just sounds awesome. So I don't know, that's my plan. That's why I sold the FCR. The FCR, probably historically more significant motorcycle. I really love the FCR, but I needed a spot. I actually ran out of room, and the thing is with this one, nobody's going to notice, because outside of people that know motorcycles, which there aren't, I mean, it's not a big thing for most people, they're not even going to notice I have a different one. So if I like show up to my grandma's or my parents' house or something like that, they're just going to think this is the FCR. So they're not going to think, oh, Matt bought another bike. They're just going to say, oh, that's the blue one. And that's the blue one. So the reason I am shooting this video, I haven't shot anything in quite a while. I went out on a little test run. First time I ever did a run in my whole leather getup. And it was about 85 degrees today. I mean, it's warm, but not too hot. Totally surprised by how warm, not warm, heavy, a full leather suit is. Now, I didn't buy the most expensive one, but I don't know, it's a nice one. It was about 400 bucks for this RST set. Bought most of this stuff from Sport Bike Track Gear because they make great videos, and it just seems like a good organization to support, because somebody can make the videos like they do, explain everything, and they're super honest. What at least seems super honest to me. I'd rather throw them some money than somebody else. I bought this. Is about 170. I've actually been wearing this underneath my this back protector. Been wearing this underneath my normal leather riding jacket, and it fits just fine. It looks huge and bulky, but when you're wearing it, it really, it feels like it's supposed to be there, and you get a huge amount of comfort from this. I haven't figured out how to get in and out of this thing very easily yet. This thing, I think I can wear it pretty much anytime I'm riding. It might be a little weird if you're going over to a friend's house and you're wearing a fucking turtle armor pack, but not a big deal. I like this thing, and this thing was pretty highly reviewed. The Suzuki boots, these were like $150. I went really cheap on the boots. Not just to go cheap, but I didn't see a big reason that I needed to spend a ton more. One thing is that there's some, it's not as grippy as I was hoping. You'd look at these pegs, the Woodcraft pegs, and that's another thing. I've never seen just fully fastened pegs. Like, there's a breakaway point right there. So if the bike falls over, it'll break away. But I've always seen the ones that go up and kick back, because that's what a consumer level version was. These can absolutely hurt you if they grab you. So it's just one more thing to be aware of that I'd never even thought about before. Anyway, these boots, I'd had one pair of boots in the past that were absolute shit. These are really nice so far. I can't say anything about the durability or whatnot of any of this since I don't have many miles on them, but that's what it is. The gauntlet style gloves has been a challenge. These are the ones, these were about 200 bucks, the GP Plus Alpine Stars. You lose so much little touch using these as opposed to a standard pair of gloves, and these are I got it in my head. I got a little freaked out by wearing my textile ones that I needed leather palms. So, but you have so much feel inside of this non-gauntlet style thinner glove that when you put these things on, it's crazy how much you miss it. So that's why I wanted to put some miles on, just start to get used to this whole thing. My Hjc helmet, I hate this helmet. I absolutely hate this helmet. Thing is, with the Motovid that is putting that track day on that I want to do, they require a DOT certified within 5 years. That's my karting helmet. That one, even though I bought it about 3 years ago, fucking manufacturing date was 7 years ago, so I can't run that. Can't run the other one that I'd like to run because it's at a friend's house about 200 miles away because I lost it there. I'm going to be running the Hjc one. The reason I don't like this one is because it lifts up on my head if I'm not fully tucked in and hiding. So I don't know. I bought this cool ass hat. We're gonna see. That's the ultimate goal. I don't know if it's gonna be this year or next year. Blackhawk Farms seems less intimidating to me, but Road America is the ultimate goal because I've been to 4 races there this year. I just love that place. Anyway, back to the SV650. Let's start it real quick. I mean, we made it this far. It's probably cool by now. Give it a little choke. Needs a new battery. I will do that after this year. Actually, I'm going to do all the fucking maintenance to this thing, but I just want to enjoy it first, so. Okay. It was warmer than I thought it was. Anyway, that V-twin with an aftermarket exhaust is so much more exciting than that bike. It's crazy to think it's actually the same thing. So anyway, this is the SV650 I bought. Sorry to everybody that wanted me to keep the FZR. I couldn't keep the FZR. I had to do this one. So hopefully there's a track day video coming soon. Thanks.